Okay, so I wanted to say a few words about holding period return in general and some special cases about holding period return. Holding period return. This is one of the formulas that we use in calculating the holding period return for an asset, and that is simply the price next year minus the price this year plus any capital gain, any dividend payment during the year, all divided by our initial investment. Okay, so this is the more general formula for the return on a security. I think the best way to describe it is on an example. Let me just go ahead and provide an example. So hopefully with that example, it will make more sense. Suppose that you you bought a security at, let's say, $50, and next year you sold it. Well, actually, okay, so let's say that next year the stock price is now $56. So clearly you have made what we call as a capital gain. So the difference between the new price and the old price is the capital gain. So this is a capital gain. But at the same time, you can also earn what we call as a dividend yield by just holding that stock for that asset for a year. Whatever cash flows that asset promises to its holders during the year, you are going to be the recipient of it. Suppose that you also earn a dividend at the end of the year in the amount of, say, $3. The question is, what is your return, holding period return, by holding this security for a year? Well, your holding period return, your rate of return for holding this security will be the following. Your initial investment was $50, so $50 will be in the denominator. Your capital gain is 56 minus 50, so you made $6 return by holding the security. That's your capital gain. But at the same time, you also earned what we call as the dividend yield. So you add that dividend yield of $3 as well. So that gives you a final number of $9 overall profit, if you want, on that $50 investment, which is equal to 18%. So by investing in this security, you have made an 18% return on your investment. That 18% return, 12% is attributable to capital gain, and the rest, which is 6%, is attributed to dividend yield. In case you're wondering why do we have to make this distinction between capital gain and dividend yield, in general, practitioners do it all the time, accountants in particular, because capital gain and dividend yield have different tax implications. The tax rate for capital gain is different than the tax rate on dividend yield, and as a result, they are being treated in a different way. Awesome. Next is our second example. This time our asset has the following features. So we want to calculate the expected rate of return on an asset which has the following feature. So currently our asset is selling, let's say, at $80 today, and a year later one of the three scenarios will hold. Next, let's do it like this. Let's put an arrow. So this is next year. So next year we are contemplating either one of these three states will happen. Either we will end up in a state 1, or if you want, let's say the economy will be in a recession, and when the economy is in a recession, which will happen with a 25% chance, our asset will be worth only $50. Or there will be a 40% chance of normal economic conditions. So actually, let's, well, why not? Let's just put it as a dollar amount. Okay, good. So what did we say? 50. Let's say $55. Okay. Or 40% chance there will be normal economic conditions under which the asset will go up in value to $90. And finally, with a 35% chance, there will be a boom in the economy during which our asset will rise in value to $120. Now the question is, what is the expected return from this investment? What is the expected return of this asset? Well, first of all, we need to calculate the returns in each of these three states. So the return under the first state, the return in the second state, and the return in the third state. We can basically assume for simplicity that there is no dividend gain, everything is capital gain, no dividend yield, and we are holding this asset for just 1 year. So the return as a result would be $80 is the initial investment, $55 is the outcome. So we've lost $25 from our investment of $80. So that would be the return under the recession. So in a recession, our stock, our asset will lose 31.25% of its value, minus 31.25%. With 40% chance there will be normal economic conditions, and then the stock price will go up to $90. So that will be 90 minus 80, $10 profit out of an $80 investment. 10 over 80 is 12.50% positive return on our investment. And finally, if the stock price, if there's a boom in the economy, stock price will go all the way up to $120. The profit will be $40 on our initial investment of $80. So that is a 50% return on our investment. So as a business person, you see this uncertainty about the future, you wonder what is the expected return of this investment. Expected return is the same thing as a weighted average return. So the weights are the probabilities. So let me just write the formula: P1 times R1 plus P2 times R2 plus P3 times R3. So as a result, P1 is 25% chance. The return will be minus 31.25%. With a 40% chance, the return will be 12.5%, and with a 35% chance, 0.35, the return will be 50%. Now we can just add up these numbers. So I have a calculator in front of me. So 31.25 times 0.25. The first number comes out as 7.8125 minus 7.8125% plus the second number, 12.5 times 0.4 is 5%, 5.0000%, and the last number comes out as 0.35 times 50, that is 17.500%. Adding these numbers, plus 5 plus I should say 7.8125, that would be 6875%. Obviously you can round this number to the nearest hundredths digit, so it would be more like 14.69% average return on your investment. A year ahead of time, you don't know which of these three situations will happen, whether the economy will be in a recession or whether there will be normal or boom situation state in the economy. And as a result, all you can do is you can take the average of these returns and find out what is the expected return on your investment. In a similar way, using expected return, you can also calculate the standard deviation of this security. It will be a little bit bashy, but let's just go ahead and quickly do that as well, and then we can call it a day on this one. So standard deviation is equal to, so it is the square root of, all right, so this huge square root sign. So the probabilities will remain. So we will have that 25% probability of state 1, and then we will have this squaring business here, plus 40% state 2 squaring business, and then 35% we will end up in state 3 squaring. There will be minus signs between them, and then what we will do is in each occasion, so we have the original observation, so namely this one, and then this one, we will subtract it, these observations, from these observations, this number, the average. That's usually how we calculate the standard deviation. All right, so that will be, the first number will be minus 31.25%, minus 14.69%. And by the way, everything is inside the same square root expression. There you go. The second one will be 12.5% minus 14.69%, and the last one will be 50% percent minus 14.69%. Like we did in the previous question, we will totally ignore the percent signs, and we will reintroduce it at the very end. So what I will do is just to calculate the initial numbers. So we have 0.25 times the initial number there is 31.25 minus 14.69 equals, and then squaring it, 274.23. 274.23. The next number will be 0.40 times 12.5 minus 14.69, squaring it, 4.796. So 4 I think I will round it to 4.80. And last one, 0.35 times, all right, so 50 minus 14.69, and then squaring it, 1246.80. 1246.80. All right, so everything is inside the same square root sign. Now we can go ahead and add up all these numbers and find the desired answer, the standard deviation of this asset. So which is, okay, let me do the last one first, times 0.35. The last one ends up as, okay, so we will have three numbers. The third one is 463.38. The second middle number, multiplying these 2.4 times 4.80 equals 1.92. 1.92. And the very first one, 274.23 times 0.25, 68.56. 68.56 point. There you go, that's an 8. When we add up these numbers, 68.56 plus 1.92 plus 463.38 equals, taking the square root, 23.11%. 23.11, and I reintroduced the percent sign. Initially I ignored them, and now I reintroduce it at the very end. So that's it. So this investment, has an expected return of 14.69% and a standard deviation of 23.11%. So the investment we are talking about is this one that we described earlier. So if you were to invest in an asset which is selling for $80 today, and there's an uncertainty about the future of this security, either it will pay $55 or $90 or $120 next year. So and based on our calculations, we found out that the expected return of this security is this number here. In average, this return will earn us 14.69% return on our investment. However, it comes with a rather significant risk alongside. Hope this was useful, and looking forward to see you guys in our next lecture.